So that's one of my iguana paintings that I got done. And here's the other one. And this one I did the chimneys lesson and the windows from the buildings and structures. And that one I did the door. And this one at first, I tried it out and my sketch wasn't working very well. I was working from this iguana picture on the cover, and there's no bigger picture in the thing, and so I'm trying to enlarge that, and I drew it out and it looked more like a dinosaur and it wasn't working out great. And then it didn't end up going on here well because I realized, oh no, it's not watercolor paper. I did the thing again where I used mixed media paper. So I thought, oh, okay, well, the drawing wasn't working great anyway, so I tried it again. And boy, did it ever work out a lot better. So I'm glad that I just abandoned that and went for the next one. And I'll talk a little bit about kids' books and using them for artwork. This is James's meal for today. It's some cod and butternut squash, fried onions, some stuffed potato skins with lentils, broccoli and cauliflower and stuff in it. And then there's bulgur with mango curry sauce. And this I got given to me for free, and I'm very thankful for that because James got to eat it. And well, the pumpkin seeds weren't for free. Alone Across the Arctic got top of the stack, and this is a big stack. So as you can see,
yeah, it's been a long time
huge.
Since we did
yeah. But one night in Miami was not bottom of the stack. I just brought it out because I thought, well, maybe James might want to talk about it a bit. And so
Miami, what happened there?
Well, it was that Malcolm X thing. Well, it's not really. It's sort of a Malcolm X movie. It has a bunch of people.
Did he get his there?
No.
Okay. Oh, that's when he met with James Brown. And,
yeah.
Sam Cooke.
Yeah. So that's what that movie is about. So
there was one other bozo there. I don't want to call Sam Cooke a bozo. No. But Malcolm X was one of the bozos.
Oh, and we might talk about it later because I don't know how long. Just sit on this.
Yeah, I know, but there's the snow.
Okay, well then here. I put it on so that your bum wouldn't get snow.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know, it's just
anyway,
really
so we might not have time to talk about that today anyway, because I have a lot of stuff here. Yeah. So, Alone Across the Arctic. This is, well, I wrote down, I want to look up Unquartet, the music from Alone Across the Arctic. And that's, explorer Adam Schultz embarks on an estimated 4,000 kilometer journey across the Canadian Arctic by canoe and on foot, alone.
He's just advertising.
He did it. But yeah, I don't.
You don't do stuff like that.
No, you don't do things like that alone, and that's not a very good, a responsible thing to advertise that you did it. It's
other people will be.
Yeah.
Trying to imitate.
Yeah. But I mean, you watch this and he goes through, like, he's showing he's wearing the bug net because you gotta. and I mean, there's even places that aren't that far north in Canada that go there.
I mean, there was that place in northern
ridiculous
Ontario.
Black flies, horse flies, and
when we went to the falls, mosquitoes. It was brutal.
Yeah, brutal. You couldn't even see. They were like I was wearing the netting, and still they got in and they got under my glasses so thick I couldn't see while I was walking. It's incredible. You just have no clue until you actually go in, unless you have went, right? Unless you went out into the wilds like he has.
So that's about latitude 50 there.
It was incredible. It says alone, and he does say, I couldn't have done this alone without so many people helping me, right? Because he starts out on foot, but he knows his canoe's going to be waiting for him at a certain place, right? And so then, so he doesn't have everything with him while he starts out on foot, as a canoe, but he's picked out an awesome canoe. I don't know if they gave him a deal on it or what, because it's a very good advertisement for that canoe. Watching this show, anybody who watches this show and wants a canoe wants this canoe after watching this show. So anyway, not an awesome advertisement for his air horn, I gotta say. But boy, you see the wildlife that you're not gonna see down here. And I mean some that you are, right? But awesome stuff. So beautiful.
What was the air horn about?
Well, he wanted to bring that along because he didn't want to bring a gun, right? And he's going up where he might see a polar bear, but he'll definitely see grizzly bears, and he knows this, right? Mm-hmm. He's not just some city kid. He's grown up in the woods. He's been an adventurer and whatever, right? So he knows what to expect, and he's like the first day. Blisters, and you can see that toenail is gonna go, right? And he's showing you all the way along, oh, here's my bites, and even though he has all the protective netting and stuff on, and what do you do, right? Anyway, awesome. Top of the stack. So top of the stack. Big Pacific. I love shows that teach me things. So I haven't went through the second disc of this yet, but I will love it. White spotted pufferfish males have awesome sand art. I'd seen the pictures of the sand art before, and I can't really describe it. But when I had seen a show about the sand art, they didn't know what caused it, and they figured it out eventually. It's these white spotted pufferfish males. They I guess they want to have the softest, finest sand in the middle for the eggs, and so they do this, like the currents would push that sand right away, right? Because it's just a cloud of fine sand. So he builds up this, it's like little hills and stuff. It's really awesome, and that attracts the female. She looks it over and she's like, "Yep, that'll work," and so that's how that happens. It's awesome. Horseshoe crabs aren't crustaceans. I didn't know that. They're related to spiders and scorpions. They have 10 eyes in all, and dozens of photoreceptors on their tail. Interesting, hey? And they might all die. Since 2002, some populations of horseshoe crabs have dropped by 90%. They take approximately 12 years to mature and are helpless when they're shedding their shells. So every time they're growing, they're shedding, right? And so when they're little guys, they're helpless. And but one thing that I didn't like about this show, it's a PBS thing, and they seem to be really pro-China. I mean, this is off China where this is happening, and they're like, oh, thanks to the China's trying to rescue the horseshoe crabs. You mean after they put them in this state where they're not bringing that up, right? Like, they're at fault for this, and they're trying to rescue them now, and maybe it'll work out. And come on now. That's one thing I did not like about this. Not really unbiased. So, but I'm learning a lot of things, and I love seeing animals. So, Earth Flight, BBC Earth. This was awesome. It has David Tennant. So I was trying to decide which I liked more, the Serengeti 2, or Earth Flight, because they're all BBC things, and, I think they're BBC. I think these ones. Because you can, BBC Earth. Because you can see the same footage being used on the Serengeti ones, like the aerial stuff for the bird stuff is being used on the Serengeti stuff. And so I watched the Serengeti things first, and then I'm like, okay, well, how is this one better? And I put, well, David Tennant's narration is way better than the narration done by these two other people, and his script is way better than theirs. I don't know who wrote their scripts, but it sounds like somebody, especially Well, the first one, the problem with that script is it sounds like a pretentious teenager wrote it. You know how teenagers, they'll learn a few, they don't have a great vocabulary a lot of the time. They'll learn a few bigger words, or
A few 4-letter words.
no, but a few words that are maybe a little bit archaic or something like that, and they'll just use them to death. And so anyway, it was tough to listen to that guy. Honestly, so tough, in fact, that I turned the volume right off for a while. I was like, I can't listen to him.
Geez, that's the way I am with
And-
the CBC.
Yeah, and so then I realized, okay, well, I'm really missing the story that they wanted to tell with this, so I better listen to it. So I put it back on because I was doing artwork, not, well, maybe these ones while I was on. I don't know. Anyway, and I was thinking, okay, well, I'm not really seeing a lot of it, and if I'm not hearing it, then why is it even on? So I put the volume back on. Anyway, and I'd look up from time to time, and there'd be some things I, like with the Serengeti 2, which I put ahead of Serengeti. And honestly, I think that's just the narration. The woman did a better job than the man. The man did the Serengeti, the first one, and then the woman did the Serengeti 2. And the first, I don't know, maybe half of the first disc or something, I couldn't stand listening to Serengeti 2. And it wasn't her voice or anything like that. It was so much political, because of things happening from far away, our waters are rising, and our this and that, and so much, it's due to other people and whatever. I didn't want to listen to that. You know, show me a nature show, whatever. But getting into all this politics, it just made it worse.
What does that have to do with the water rising with the Serengeti? It's a high plain.
Anyway, so it was annoying. So that, I would say, if you're going to watch it, just skip through the first half of the first disc, because there's 2 discs, and there's a lot of great footage. I mean, you see a lot of beautiful nature scenes and whatever. But the best nature show that I ever watched before, it didn't have any narration. Nobody was talking, the animals were doing their thing, and there was electronic music, and it was awesome. So, some people really like this Serengeti thing where they've named the animals, and you follow their story along, right? And you're like, oh, here's whatever I don't care about that, but James gets into that. He remembers all the names of the meerkats from Meerkat Manor.
I just remember one, Shakespeare. But he sacrificed himself taking on a cobra or something.
So some people really get into that, is my point.
Well,
the names.
I got into it, but I'm telling you, when that guy died, I couldn't watch it anymore.
I know, it was heartbreaking. But anyway, you see a lot of great footage. But really, when they're saying, this is our story in Serengeti, I was like, okay, by our story, are you meaning the animals? I don't know what you're meaning by that. Because really, to me, it's the story of the filmmakers who are capturing this awesome footage. And you get that with here, they explain it. Like, I was watching this, I'm like, okay, well, how did they get that shot? And you're thinking this through the whole time you're watching it, right? You're like, oh, okay, was it this or this? Yeah, what you're thinking is right. You're thinking through all of these things, because I know I thought through all the things. I'm watching that and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what happened. Because at the end, the last episode, they're showing how they got this stuff. And well, they didn't show exactly how the camera was attached to one, like a vulture from Africa or whatever, that they'd hand raised, and it was like a pet, right? So, but and they didn't have the tracking thing on the bird. There was a couple who had a flock of birds that they were using for filming, and that's where you see the scene in front of the Statue of Liberty, which is awesome. The birds flying. I mean, to capture this sort of stuff,
to get in your way.
It's just so great. So, as if you have any experience trying to film birds or take pictures of birds, it's not easy.
It is tough.
And so
They're mobile.
So getting this kind of footage, wow. And but yeah, the couple that had the Statue of Liberty birds, they had a luckily they had a tracking device on one in their flock because they misplaced them for a while. They had to go tracking through New York to try to find their birds.
New York's a big place.
Yeah.
There are a lot of parks for them to hang around.
And
Where'd
that's what they
find them?
did. Yeah, they went to a park. Just what you'd expect them to do, right?
Was it Central Park?
I don't
Central
know.
Park's huge.
Yeah, it was awesome though. So, but one thing, the grizzly bear footage people, you guys were insane. What were you? I mean, I guess it turned out that the grizzly bears were preoccupied with the salmon, but wow, you were pretty close to them. That was kind of nuts. I don't know, the things that people will go through to try to get a good shot. It's amazing. I wouldn't go through that, but I did enjoy seeing the grizzly bears. Mr. Oregon. Now, this is from the filmmaker. If you watch Tickled, I gave that one a high rating, and this one gets a pretty high rating too. I really enjoyed this. But this one is a bit different. He's following a guy who, he's kind of nuts, really. But honestly, when I was watching this, for the first while, he's like, I gotta keep going with this because I started, and how am I gonna I've started making a film about this and I don't know where it seems to be going nowhere, and whatever. And I was having that feeling too at that point. I'm like, okay, maybe you should just say this film isn't working and not continue. But he manages to pull it together so that you're like, yeah, this is actually you put together a good film. And honestly, with not the footage that was required to put together a good film. So, but to call him a journalist, I don't know. I mean, he didn't get enough information here. But anyway, so when I'm watching this, I'm thinking, wow, you're such a stalker. I'm really not liking journalists, and him in particular. And at the end, he's had I think restraining orders put against him from everyone in this guy's family. And I'm thinking, rightfully so. But I enjoyed it.
Let me just say something about journalists, if that's okay.
Sure.
Along with politicians. This comes from William Butler Yeats, maybe 100 years ago. A statesman is an easy man. He tells his lies by rote. A journalist makes up his lies and takes you by the throat. So stay at home, drink your beer, and let your neighbor vote, said the man in the golden breastplate under the old stone cross. I believe in voting, but hey, I hate statesmen and I hate journalists.
Oh, and I forgot to give all of the other things that I was writing that make Earth Flight a better thing than Serengeti and Serengeti 2. And now that I'm on to these ones, I will give you the rest. Better music, dancing flamingos. That was awesome. I have never seen that before. Did you know that they do that? They imitate each other. So they'll all be doing it, and the couples will do it, and then everyone joins in, and it's like a great big dance. It's amazing.
It sounds like the latest dance craze thing. Humans are similar, right? Disco now, let's do disco.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it was great watching the cranes also, the Japanese cranes, how they do their kind of dancing thing. It's beautiful. So I loved watching the dancing birds, and that's worth watching. It's worth actually owning that Earth Flight, just so that you can watch that over and over and over, because it's so wonderful. Starlings flying in formation, well, that's always awesome to see, but I have never seen why they do it, and I guess and so this made it more awesome seeing starlings flying in formation, because you get to see how it actually helps them escape prey. Because the prey animal, usually they'll focus in on one, or the predator will focus in on one prey animal and then just go for that one, right? Like there's nothing that animal can do to get away, but because they're all flying in formation, it confuses the predator. I can't get them. It's awesome. So that was fun. Seeing the mayflies emerging and getting eaten, so awesome. And disc 2, there was a flock of mealies. So I had a mealy green Amazon before, so it was nice seeing them in the wild. Because what I always had planned was to take Maxie. She'd been a wildcat caught bird, and I wanted to take her back to the wild one day and set her free, and I don't know if that's allowed, but
she wanted to.
She would have wanted to. Yeah, so that's what I always wanted to do, but then I just didn't end up doing it.
Now it wasn't cruel of Pauline to climb trees to rescue her, because Maxie would have enjoyed the summertime.
Well, yeah, the thing was, is my ex and his friend, they did clip her wings at one point, and his friend was saying you have to have her wings clipped if you're going to have her going outside and stuff, and he was right. But she was so depressed when her wings were clipped. Like you clip the flight feathers, and you can't notice them as somebody looking at your bird, but they can't fly. And also, like if I wanted her to fly back to her cage, well, she couldn't anymore. So she just fall to the ground. Well, that's not nice. So, and that took both of her and I learning that. That was unfortunate. So she was a free range bird inside, so she'd fly to wherever she wanted to go. And I liked it. I knew where she was going to want to be, and there was paper down to clean, so whatever. It wasn't a big deal.
That didn't seem to cause a problem.
No. Oh, and I also like seeing the scarlet ibex. Wow, those are some beautiful birds. So that's made those pluses right there. And then disc 2 was just so great. I liked it more than this one of Earthlight. Disc 1, there was some depth and stuff. I don't like some of it. So anyway, Serengeti 2 was better than Serengeti 1. They both show awesome footage from Africa, from the Serengeti. So if you want to see that, that's awesome. If you want to, like they have enough film material, probably they could redo it. And I think they probably should, without that crummy narration and stuff. Just try to work something else with the footage you have. Because honestly, I would rather watch just the animals with some electronic music playing and not that, not the whole story thing. Try to figure some story out that you don't need narration. You can just have some ambient sort of music in the background. So I put Orangutan Island Season 1 after that because I still have it. I haven't returned it to the library. I'm still watching it every now and then, and well, I won't now. But Disc 2, I really didn't like when they, like this is a story about an orphan rescue organization, and because the like the orangutans, they're called, their name means jungle man or something like that, right? And so originally people thought they were man. They're calling them jungle man. And really, I think that the World Health Organization needs to treat them as people. They're getting their land mowed down in Borneo. There's nowhere for them to live. Normally they're nomadic, it says, and then they're trying to raise these orphans to live communally, and they're not living naturally. They're set out on these islands where they wouldn't be, and we've watched the different, a few weeks ago we watched the Keystone species video where they were talking about without predator species or without a certain species in an area, then things go awry, but I mean, you add somebody who's not supposed to be there onto an island, and you've done just that. So even though they're bringing them food and everything, they're not supposed to be there. So it's really not nice to the ecosystem, the animals that's their home. So you've colonized their lands in Borneo, and you've taken them away from their family. I mean, these are orphans. You're going to think I'm cruel by saying this, but they would not survive on their own. They're not natural anymore. And you put them into an unnatural setting, and you've disturbed more of nature to do this. So I'm not pro this. At the end, there's a little thing, you can give money to them, whatever, the information to send them money. But as much as I love seeing these orangutans, and I wouldn't want to, like, what would you do? You have these orphan orangutans. How are you going to care for them? You give them, maybe somebody can help them apply for citizenship into Canada or something like that, and maybe they can live here. I don't know. But something has to happen because their land is being colonized, and I can understand the people who are caring for them, their hearts are probably in the right place, and I mean, it seems like they really love them.
Now, the major part of Borneo belongs to Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, that's what they're...
And Indonesia has probably one of the higher birth rates in the world.
But I didn't like seeing there was one point where, I think it was Jasmine, the one that they called Jasmine. I'm not sure, though. You'd have to watch this to see. But they had a mother and her baby come in from an area that was logged, and they were in such a rough state that the mother had stopped producing milk. And so they decided, okay, well, we'd have to keep her mother in a cage forever to keep her. And so what we're going to do is steal her baby and put her back out in the wild. Where in the wild? I mean, her home is already destroyed, so you're just chucking her out into the jungle, somebody else's territory. I'm sure she's going to do well. And honestly, stealing her baby, that's disgusting. That was disgusting. They made an orphan so that they could rescue her and throw away her mom. What they could have done is bottle fed the baby, kept the mother in the cage with her, you know, and then when the mother was producing milk again, or when the baby didn't need the mother's milk, she still had the mother to help raise her and hold her and stuff. That would have been okay. But
Yeah,
no,
with
what you did was frickin' disgusting.
With the primates, the orangutans would be near the top. They hold on. They don't have babies as frequently as the lower primates, and they seem to raise them.
Yeah, well, they obviously do, because they were saying in the show that the orangutans, the young still drink milk at age 6. Age 6.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you don't. I don't know. At any rate, yeah.
Sunset Boulevard.
That's. I just want to make a point about. There's all sorts of people who believe in the Spartan thing. They tend to be nifty, shifty, hefty lefties. They don't believe in the family.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the traditional family where the father's the head of the household and beats people up and all that sort of stuff. But human infants need a family to take care of them. And, you know, there's also this idea, matriarchy.